It's coming up to past the middle of May, so plants in your garden are growing really well. What can you propagate at this time of the year? Hello, I'm Rosie Hardy. This is Rosie Hardy Gardening. If you enjoy our videos, please do subscribe to the channel. Now, I know a lot of you really enjoy propagating plants, therefore you've got more to put in your garden, or as a lovely gift to give to a friend who also likes to garden if you've got something that they haven't got. And at this time of the year, there is so much good young growth on your plants that you should be able to take quite a lot of tip cuttings from various material. Now, I've just got a couple of plants here just to show you what is available. And I'm standing here, and this Dianthus has got the most incredible perfume. It is absolutely wonderful. Oh, this is one we call Rosy's mum. Now, the reason why it gets called that is that in actual fact she lost the label, and although there are a couple that it could be, because I haven't actually fully gone out there and studied exactly what it is, we will put labels on and tags on plants just so we know where they came from, because then that's really easy for us to then think about what it was, because this was grown up in Northumberland and she probably bought it from a local nursery. It is an old-fashioned pink. It's fabulous. Now, it is doing what pinks do, and that is it comes up with this beautiful flower, but I don't know whether you can see into the center there, it's starting to get this brown hole in the bottom. So this particular plant is going to start to deteriorate after a while, so you need to be taking some cuttings from it. They don't like being divided very much, but from cuttings it's really easy. Now, I could take material from these lovely little bits here, but I've got one which is much younger. It's a much younger plant, and you can see it's got really good fresh growth coming up through from the middle here. So this is what we will be taking the cuttings from. And as with all cuttings, just take them a bit longer than you require, because then you can prepare them when you get back into your greenhouse, because if you're taking them from your plant, but also it means that you can do it as a sort of pruning exercise. So we're just going to take a few of these tips out like so. I'll thin a few from there, and then there are some down the side here which are nice as well. So I'm cutting down as low as I can down into the bottom. We'll take about 5 or 6 cuttings from this plant. The thing with this is that what will happen is you will prune a little bit of the plant, and then they'll send up some more growth, and it tends to be on a pink that the more growth there, the more flower. And at the end of the day, these beautiful flowers and the perfume that they emit is just fantastic. So I'll just take one more, and I'll take this one even further back so I can just describe something else. There we go. So this is a pink. What we're going to do with these, there are 2 ways of doing a pink cutting. One is that you cut it completely. The other is that you hold the end like so and you pull, and then you have your cutting, or what were known as slips, and you will just trim off a bit of that leaf. So that is a slip. So you can do it that way, and that piece is no longer of any use. This bit here, which has got the brown on it, so this is quite a brown bit of growth here at the bottom. It's also got extra little pieces coming off the side. Now you can pull those little pieces off and do what is known as a heel cutting, because they're nice little cuttings like that, and that little bit there. So that could work. I tend not to do this because they're quite small. They're not got the strength in them or anything else. So you don't really want this brown bit. You could do a slip cutting, but you can also go below a pair of leaves at a node and then just remove the leaves there. And then what we tend to do in the propagation house is that we'd cut off that pair of leaves. You now have a really nice cutting. Again, cutting off the top bit here, we're not taking out the apical bud, we are leaving it there. So there are 2 ways of doing this, depends on how you want to do it. If sometimes when you do the slips and you pull it, you go too short. So you are wanting that bit with that pair there, then you are counting down 2 little nodes, because these internodes on this, so 1 pair of leaves, 2 pair of leaves, and it's at the base of that pair of leaves that you are doing the cutting. And then, as I say, remove that lot and remove these leaves, because this is going to, and then just trimming across the top. So I'll just quickly do these last ones so that we've got 6, and then I can put them into the compost. I've got some pots here ready, I've got some labels, because once your cuttings are made, and say we go on to another variety of Dianthus, then you know you need to be aware that you've got your cuttings labelled up correctly. Nothing worse than getting them all muddled up. We do it at the nursery occasionally. You know, it's very easy. You think you know, and something gets, you get distracted, you talk to somebody, and you forget to label. So doing them one at a time, finishing off, that is that. So we've got all of those done there nicely. Now we're going to stick them into the compost that I've got here in these pots. This is a very free draining cutting compost, and for this purpose, because those are my good snips, I'm going to use my pencil as my dibber, and we are just going to put them down the side of the pot like so, so that they are all nicely in there, and in they go nicely. Firm them back, and that is the way to go with those. So there we go, we've got 6. Then when this is done, we will water over the top. I have actually got this in a tray which will hold water, because during the summer months you need to still have available moisture. So fill the bottom of a tray, either have it in a gravel bit or just like this, fill it at the bottom so that there's always available water there. You can cover these over, you can mist spray them with a hand mist sprayer if you want, or if you've got a bit of a cloche, you can put that over the top as well. Then we just want to label this up, so I will just put initials on here, Dianthus, Rosy's mum, and then put a date on it. And there we go. So that is now all labelled. I'll put the label down there, there's room for it there. Labelled and ready. They will get watered, and the water that goes over the top will drain into the bottom. If it gets too full of water, just tip a bit out. You don't want them absolutely drowned. So that is something to be aware of. Right, we'll just tidy that away so that I don't get any of them mixed up there. Then I have another Dianthus here. So this one is a beautiful one. This is Dianthus Giganteus. So this is a seed one, so you can, species one, sorry, so you can do this from seed. Beautiful pink flowers, very, very tall, very airy. This is one of those ones which is used a lot, mixed with grasses and that sort of thing. You get that lovely waving side. So the one with the flowers, there is very little growth in here that you can do. So this is one that had the flowers cut off, and it is now coming through with some fresh growth. Now there's not as much on here that I can do, but again it's a matter of, I'll just take 3 off this one. It will then grow back and you'll get some more. But again, you can see it's much more grassy and wiry, and there's quite a lot of older leaves at the bottom. So you need to find out where the central point is, and it's actually right in here. So although this looks really huge, you can't go much further down than that. So just remove a few of those, find where a node is, cut below the node, and maybe just score a little bit down on the side. And then again, it's hold all of the growth together and reduce all of that so that you have a nice cutting like so. So I'll just prep these ones and you can see what we have. So they are nice. We'll give that a little score on the side, and again you can easily find where the leaf nodes are because they're little bumps, and you're just cutting below those bumps, taking off that leaf, moving in there. You don't want old leaf, and again a little score down the side. So these ones are nice and easy, only taken 3 of these, and we will just put those, but I'm always putting them to the side of the pot, not in the middle of the pot. This just means that when they root, the roots will hit the side of the pot and they will then branch, because what you want is a good branching root growth. So what have I not done? I haven't done a label for that. So Dianthus Giganteus, and then DG and a date. And then the last one here, the Shrubby salvias are all coming up and doing really well at the moment. Lots of lovely growth on here. This is Salvia cahuliensis. This is a speciform. It's got lovely indigo flowers here, really great. Now, it's got lots of young growth with flower buds on. Now, you do not want to be taking from those the bits with the flower on. So you need to be looking further down into the plant for growth without flower. So it's not these ones which have got buds, it's these other ones lower down in here. And again, pruning exercise, take them a bit longer than you actually want them to be. Also, maybe just shape your plant up a little bit, because whenever you cut back to a bud there, it will bush out. 2 more growths coming, more flower. So it's always a good idea to make sure, try not to do, so a lot of people will go and just take to the length that they want. Then you get left with this horrible arm. No, you want to use it as a pruning exercise, okay? That one is no use anyway. Let me just take 4 of these and I'll do that one there. There we go. So the salvia, again, quite easy. It's a tip cutting. So you hold the tip like so, you count back a pair of buds and you would go below there. That is then waste. You take those leaves off there, and again it's just a matter of trimming over the top. I'm not taking the apical bud out, I am just loose. Now the reason you don't take down here, this is quite woody, so this is nice and flexible stuff. So again, hold the tip and cut behind the next pair of leaves. That is then your tip cutting. Nice little cuttings all done there. So these work really well. There we go. One more. Knew there was one more somewhere. There we are. I always say do your cuttings quite small, but remember you've got to be able to hold them. You've got to be able to stick them into the pots and get them in the containers. So don't go too small, or you can't do, you just can't control the cutting that you've got. These then go in here. One thing I would say, make sure that your plant material is watered well. So the thing to do is probably, if you're going to take the cuttings in the evening, then make sure that you've watered a plant an hour before, so growth is nice and turgid, especially on a warm day. And taking your cuttings in the evening, it'll be cooler as well. So that is something else. So that's SC cahuliensis, date on there. And there we go. Those are the cuttings. So go out, enjoy propagating. If you enjoy propagating, then please do take a look at our propagation workshop. This will go through all of the steps that you need to follow to be able to do successful propagation. There will be a QR code or a link down below. Now, I've done this little bit. Let's go and have a tour around our propagation here at the nursery. Here in the propagation, we've got a lot of cuttings sitting underneath the mist unit here, and it may spray while I'm standing here, but lucky at this time in the morning it's already quite moist. Now a lot of these cuttings here were taken yesterday, and then further down so you go on to ones which were taken last week, and we have a full bench at the bottom. The benches will soon be rooted down, so it's taking somewhere between depending on the material, 10 days to 14 days for things to root down. Then they may just stay on here for a little bit longer, just so that they are good enough to be taken off, put on the ground to wean them off, so that they then don't have this really lovely situation where they're always getting moisture. So once they've got their roots and they go down on the ground, then they only get moisture when they are given a hand water. So that can be done twice a day, especially when it's very, very warm. So that then means that they are kept here and then prepared so that we've got the correct numbers, and then they are taken into the other polytunnel where they have all their labels put with them, prepared so that the potting team can take them through and pot them on, and then they're put straight outside. So there is a lot of processes that go on. You will see behind me some really big plants, so there's a lot of stock plants in here as well. We do allow some of our stock plants to flower because they were not always doing them from cuttings. We can be doing them from seed, so we need them to set seed. The only way you're going to get them to set seed is obviously they need to flower. There are, however, other ones which, such as the dahlias, they are our only big plants that we have, and if we want to show people what the flowers are like, then the dahlias now, she's probably stopped doing a lot of the dahlia cuttings. She might still be doing a few of them, but they will be allowed to come up to flower. We can then use them as display plants. Also, we can get a little bit of cut flower from them as well. Not that's just for staff and for me. All of this is looking really good. These all noted down as being week 20 because they work in week numbers. So these are our beautiful stock plants of our dahlias. We've got some lovely purple leaf varieties which have got single flowers, or we've got lovely big old-fashioned ones like that one, Hamari Rose, which is a green-leafed one, a beautiful big head on it there, and then these other ones coming up as well. So a good array. Now the cuttings were taken very early on. These all live inside here all year round. They don't go outside unless they go off to a show, and then they come back because these will, there's probably 2 weeks when they go outside, and that's when we put them outside to frost them so that the tops dry off, and then they get brought back in here. They're stored in their pots underneath the benching. No need for light or anything like that. They're stored, stacked away, kept dry, and then when we want them to regrow, they're brought out, they're watered, and then she can take the cuttings off as the plants grow. As she's taking more cuttings off, so we get really beautiful big bushy plants, and these are our stock plants for that. So these are the cuttings which have been allowed to root right down. As you can see, there is beautiful roots on the bottom of all of these trays. These are not far off being wanting to go outside and be potted on. You've got some, they've been tipped out, so they've had the top of the cutting tipped out. So this was the bit that was the cutting. These are all the little side shoots, so this is going to make a really bushy plant. Lovely roots on there as well. So that one is a lythrum, and that one will grow nicely. Sometimes you can see little bits and pieces of what looks like husk sitting on top of the plants, or even some dust or something like that. It looks like dirt. That's our biological controls that we use in here, because we don't spray for anything, so we use biological controls, and they come in little containers. Sometimes they're larvae, sometimes they're the eggs, and basically they get they have a carrier, in this case it's little husks, and that is where they sit, and then they just get scattered across the tops of the plants, and then the biological controls go off and eat all the insects that we don't want. So that is it. So lots and lots of plants here waiting to go, be prepared, go off and be potted up, ready to go out and go in your gardens. Thank you very much for watching, and please do subscribe to the channel. If you want to watch another video of mine, YouTube thinks this one is perfect for you.